Now I'd like to introduce Richard Mussell, and is that, yep, excellent. So Richard's going to talk about encouraging pet-friendly solutions for the elderly. After nearly 30 years in the travel and tourism industry, Richard was appointed Chief Executive Officer of Animal Welfare League of South Australia in April 2014. He's been a board member of the Animal Welfare League Australia, AWLA, since that time, and its president since November 2015. Richard represents the AWL on the South Australian Dog and Cat Management Board's advisory group and as the Minister's nominee to the South Australian Government Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. He's also a member of the Veterinary Surgeons Board of South Australia. Please give it up for Richard.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'd just like to thank Nell and Joy for putting on this great event again and inviting us to come along and talk about this important topic. Encouraging pet-friendly solutions for the elderly, and thank you all for staying to listen. I wondered if you might clear the room when I got onto this topic. Just a bit about who we are and what the funny acronym is on your lanyards. AWLA, or the Animal Welfare League of Australia, is a national non-profit organisation and registered charity. We are the collaboration of 5 organisations around Australia. Here, of course, we have AWL Queensland. In South Australia, AWL Lort Smith in Victoria, Dogs Homes of Tasmania, and SAFE in WA. So we're a representative body of those groups, caring for about 50,000 companion animals every year, and a range of services ranging from rescue, shelter, rehoming, foster care, impounding, veterinary and enrichment, and a number of commercial activities as well in the pet sector. And together we have over 300 years of collective experience in the companion animal space. There we go. Now our mission is to create and uphold and encourage the highest standards of care, of health and welfare of pets in our community. And we do this by promoting the human-animal bond, relationships between owners and their pets, national partnerships, collaboration, improving standards, and most importantly, cooperation between organisations across Australia. And AWLA is funded by its members as well. Now, Jess was talking about this earlier, so we actually have a little cartoon to represent this cliff that she was talking about. So quite often organisations like ours, and many of you in the room, are working at the bottom of the cliff, if you like. The people who care for companion animals who have fallen to the bottom of the cliff, literally, not literally I should say, more figuratively. So we're talking about reactive work that we're responding to particular events that have occurred in the community. So we have to discuss and talk about why we don't climb to the top of that cliff a bit more often and try and be a bit more preventative in the first place. And that's what a lot of the topics today are about, and this whole theme of this conference this year. It's not easy, of course. A lot of the resources that we have are aimed at services for animals at the bottom of the cliff. And at AWLA, we believe that the aged care sector is one area where we can make a significant difference at the top of the cliff without compromising the care and programs that we have already in place. So how can we do this? Our data shows that advocating, for a more pet-friendly community is a no-brainer. It reduces animal surrender rates to our services, and it promotes the irrefutable health benefits of the human-animal bond for owners and their pets. At AWLA, in this particular project of aged care objective, we have been advocating for the need for a more pet-friendly and aged care sector for about 5 or 6 years already. Our objective is to keep older Australians together with their own pets, specifically emphasising the benefit of pet ownership rather than the very real but we believe less potent benefits of visiting pet programs and community pets in the aged care sector. At a national level, we pursue our specific objective through advocacy and partnerships. So what have we done so far in this area? Well, we've delivered some annual grants to the aged care sector to help service providers implement pet-friendly practices and infrastructure. established the Positive Ageing in the Company of Animals website to provide practical information, resources about pet-friendly policies, guidelines, models of care to care providers. Conducted research more recently on the demand of pet-friendly aged care, most recently in the Pets and Aged Care Snapshot in 2017, which I'll talk about a bit more in a sec. And we're about to launch the AWLA Pets and Aged Care endorsement program. We're also partners with the Aged and Community Services organisation, and we are an organisational member of COTA, or Council of the Ageing. So, as many of you would be aware, Australia has one of the highest rates of pet ownership around the world. Third only, I believe, to the US, 65%, New Zealand 64%, and here in Australia 63%. Also, we have an ageing population. Predictions show that there'll be 3.6 million people over the age of 70 by 2026. And those people have pets or would like to have pets. Other benefits that we see in doing this program is anecdotal evidence that the aged care service providers also enjoy reputational and commercial benefits when they engage positively with pet owners. We have witnessed how pet-friendly services ease the client's transition into aged care settings, encourage the uptake of services, and provide reputational benefits to the aged care provider. Therefore, it seems reasonable to suggest that the aged care sector needs to consider a broader set of solutions for pet owners if they are to respond effectively to the needs of their future clients. Simply put, it seems that a more pet-friendly aged care sector is in the best interests of all stakeholders, not just pets and their owners. So, our snapshot response was done in 2017. It was a desktop audit of just under 3,000 aged care facilities and just over 2,000 home care providers. The audit included a review of the websites and information that these providers have on their pet policies, advertised pet-friendly services, and the mix of services, or singular or mix of the following services. Pets being able to stay with residents at the aged care facility. Family and friends of residents are permitted to bring pets when they visit. The facility has its own pets, which are considered shared pets for all residents, or if they have an external visiting pet program available. And the data revealed that shared pet and visiting pet programs were the most common service offering. So the headline results here show that 33% of residential facilities had a shared pets program or allowed shared pets. 24% offered a visiting pet program. 22% allowed family members to bring a pet when they visited. But only 18% allowed residents to keep a pet, which is quite low. And sadly, only 9% of the in-home care providers had a pet-friendly service, which you would think would be the more logical one out of all of them. So these findings suggested an urgent need for more services and practices that keep older people together with their pet for as long as it remains in the interests of both parties. The sector, aged care sector that is, as we know, is in a lot of focus on that sector. And so we believe the Commonwealth Government reforms to service delivery, such as the consumer-directed care model and the new aged care standards, provide an amazing opportunity for the aged care sector to work with our sector to improve the levels of pet friendliness and still comply with those regulations. Now, the reason we're doing all this is that, and we were talking a bit earlier about surrenders, we drilled down to some of the impacts of the work that our members do, and many of you also do here, and we found that primarily the impact is on numbers of animals that have been surrendered, specifically for elderly-related reasons. So the research we did on just our membership group was just over 6% of the overall animal surrenders were documented due to elderly-related reasons. However, our larger members, being AWLQ and AWL South Australia, had much higher recorded statistics in that area, and it just shows that we may have been just a statistical recording, but also shows, like in all areas, and we've talked about earlier about how important it is to have good data on this type of information. And also so we can see what impacts, improvements in the impact will happen if there are improvements in the aged care sector. Oh, what have I done? Oh, here we go, sorry. Reason, here we go. So the reasons for elderly-related surrenders, and these were the, not limited to these, but generally in these categories: owner health, owner moving to a nursing home or care facility that is not pet-friendly, obviously the passing away of an owner, unsuitable pet accommodation at home, inability or unwillingness of family members to care for the pet, and a lack of financial resources. There's no surrender data Australia-wide that we could find in this research as a whole. However, the application of our indicative AWLA trend, and if you apply that to the national rehoming statistics that are available from RSPCA around Australia, would indicate that well in excess of 4,000 dogs and cats per annum are surrendered for elderly-related reasons, which is quite substantial. So it's clear that we need to act to make Australia a more pet-friendly community. However, there are some significant barriers to doing that, and some of them are more regulatory and some of them are industry-based. So from a regulatory perspective, there's no legislation specifically relating or regulating pet care in aged care facilities at a state or a federal level. Rather, regulation of pet care for most states appears to be made by individual aged care organisations. Pet and companion animal guidelines are issued by some state-based agencies in New South Wales, Queensland and Western Australia, and those links are on your lanyard information when you get to it after today. And since first engaging with the sector in 2013, AWLA has identified the following service delivery barriers to pet-friendly aged care, largely lack of funding for specific programs, shortage of employees and volunteers who are able or willing to deliver support, workplace health and safety concerns, which would be very high in those sectors already, and legal concerns. So when we consider all of the regulatory and industry barriers, it is clear that formulation and implementation of sustainable and meaningful pet-friendly solutions require collaborative inputs from all stakeholders. And we have a few options in order to do that. First of all, within the service provision area, and this is happening, I know, with lots of organisations already, where organisations like many of you can provide solutions by having your volunteers go into aged care facilities and help with these programs in that setting. But most of the time our volunteers are obviously working, like I said, at the bottom of that cliff in the actual care of the animals in foster care. So resource-wise, it is very difficult to be able to do that. From an education perspective, we've said earlier that education isn't everything, but we need to educate the aged care sector about social need for service providers to be more pet-friendly. It's vital that we continue to educate aged care stakeholders and participate in research at a national level, as well as delivering relevant types of services at a state level. The other thing that we're working on, though, is this collective value with our membership group and the aged care sector behaviours. And this is that, like Jess was saying, and I'm glad she said it, that little bit extra that you can maybe do to entice a sector that might be more than just education, and that's the endorsement program that we're now working on, which, there we go. So, and just to be clear, our endorsement, using that definition from the Cambridge Dictionary, is the act of saying that you approve of or support something or someone, which is really all this program is about. So there is the tick. So our objective with this is to increase the number of pet-friendly services in the aged care sector, lower animal surrender rates for our services to our members, provide approved aged care services with the opportunity to leverage brand and marketing benefits from a partnership with some of Australia's most trusted pet care and welfare service providers. The TIC would be available to aged care service providers with practices and policies that maintain and promote human-animal bond between the older owner and their pet. And the benefits to those endorsees would be the conditional right to use that logo and a whole lot of information that would be provided to them, promotion on their website, marketing and promotional material, a range of standards available through the program, but most importantly, advice on developing, maintaining and improving pet-friendly policies, practices, according to the service provider's capacity and their own business model. AWLA has formed a national steering committee of aged care service providers around Australia and animal welfare experts to build value in the following collateral. As I said earlier, standards is a large part of that. Price points for administration, licence fees, logo marketing material, reporting processes, and championing the need for standards for these preferred standards. Thank you. So the target outcomes for this endorsement program aims to achieve both measurable social and commercial outcomes. We're talking at a social level, the increase in the number of aged care services with policies and practices that help the older people together with their pets, and the program has to be financially sustainable so that it can keep going as well. A mission resonates very strongly with the aged care sector. Through this research, we found that they really do want to be pet friendly, but they need help to be able to do it. Nearly there. So whilst much... Oh, sorry, I've skipped ahead a little bit. Oh. Right, okay. So, like you, AWLA are committed to preserving and promoting the benefits of the human-animal bond. This leads to better health outcomes for pets and their owners. It also reduces surrender rates to rescue groups and shelter services. This mission, I should say, resonates well with the aged care sector. They just need help to do it. So whilst much of the aged care sector still does not deliver sufficient support to pet owners, the evolving demographics, the market-based changes, government reforms have created an amazing opportunity to shift that dial. It's therefore reasonable to assume that the future clients of aged care sector will demand a much broader range of solutions for themselves and their pets. Our animal welfare sector needs to work collaboratively and in nuanced ways with the aged care sector to help service providers build a more pet-friendly Australia. So collaboration is the key, like most of these things. Keeping people with their pets is crucial. I'd just like to thank also our National Executive Officer and Stuart Gillies and Adriana Manus are also here today. If anyone's got questions, you can ask them. But I will be on the panel, so thank you very much.